Lot to talk about today. What a weekend. Just when I thought Becca was asking if I was doing a show tomorrow, and I'm like, there's not a heck of a lot going on.
No,
And then all of a sudden, this news breaks, and I'm like, well, I guess we're doing a show tomorrow for sure.
Yeah, I like. I was thinking to myself, I don't know if we're doing a show tomorrow. There's nothing to talk about, and then boom.
I know. I'll tell you what, from a content perspective, this has to be the greatest offseason we've had in a long time.
I saw somebody say that on a message board, internet message board, said greatest offseason ever. I don't know. It's just when it's now, it's always the greatest offseason ever.
Hey, SBC meeting in the chat. Can't wait to see them guest today's wrestler on Gable Game. Should we do Gable Game while we wait for people to get into the stream?
Yes, let's do Gable Game.
All right, let's do Gable Game.
Start off with Gable Game. All right, you pick a wrestler.
All right, I'm going to start with Tyler Kasich.
Kasich.
All right, so it's got to be junior, senior, outside of the Big Ten, upper weights.
Above 57.
Not a top 3 finisher.
Low win percentage. So he's a junior or senior, above 157. Did not take third or higher. Not in the Big Ten. Let's go. I mean, are there like non-starters in this?
Yes. No, sorry. It's the 330 kids who went to NCAAs.
330. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's put in like an 84 so that we can get a better gauge on the. Let's put in an 84. How about DJ? I put in DJ Parker.
Okay, I was gonna go Saldano, but you know what? He's not Big Ten. Yep. Okay.
No, he didn't qualify.
Yep.
Okay, so he's less than 84.
And he's not in the Big 12.
And didn't make round of 12.
And it's got to be a senior. So it's got to be a senior. It's a senior 174 pounder with a higher than a 71% win percentage.
But he didn't finish round of 12. He went like 2-2 or something.
Higher than 72% win percentage, senior 174 pounder outside of the Big 10 and Big 12.
Yeah, so an ACC senior. What did Wolak do this year? Did Wolak make round of 12?
Let's put him in.
Put Wolak in.
All right, Wolak's in. All right, we got senior in 174, correct.
Ooh.
It is not the ACC either.
Big 12, no, Pac-12, EIWA. This is tough. This is now it's long.
Can we use performance enhancers?
God, this is embarrassing. I refuse to use PEBs.
I mean, we got a senior 174 pounder
performance enhancing brackets
outside of the Big 10, Big 12, ACC.
Yeah, which means we're Pac-12 or SoCon, EIWA or Ivy.
Who had a 65? No, sorry, but above 72% win percentage.
He was a senior.
Senior.
This is bad radio now. Let's go. Who is Ivy?
This is where I need performance enhancers.
So Simon Reese. All right, here, let's go because we got to talk about Bo Bassett, and so I'm using PEBs. So we're at 174. 174. Give me. Wolak was a good guess though, huh? Give me Brevin Casella. What does it say there?
Hold on, I just lost the page. All right, who am I putting in?
Oh, put in Nico Incontrera.
Nope, not him.
What does it say?
It says senior, yes, 74, yes, above a 76% win percentage.
It's not Ivy.
And
okay,
it's not Ivy.
It's less than round of 12. It's Jesus. No. Jared Sima. No, that's Big 12. Ogunsanya, did we do it? Yes, we did. No. Dalton Hark. No, it's not Dalton Harkins.
See, some of these are impossible to do without PEBs.
Michael Wilson?
Let's give it a shot.
What did it say?
It is the Mac, but it is not Michael Wilson. But it is the Mac.
It's the Mac? Avery Bassett? No. Alex Kramer. Book it.
Book it?
Next time. Yeah.
Winner.
Performance enhancing brackets, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. See, sometimes you just got to turn to the performance enhancers.
No, Garrett Thompson wasn't a senior. Garrett Thompson still got another year, so that's how I knew it wasn't him. Good job, chat. We were on the same wavelength. All right, you guys were all over it too. All right. Do we want to talk about my brisket, or should we go right into Bo Bassett? All I'll say about the brisket is it was a long process. It got frustrating at times. There was a roller coaster of emotions. I spent about $1,500 to make $100 piece of meat, and it came out great for my first one. I mean, the flavor was phenomenal, but
you did one of the hardest cooks for your first Traeger cook.
But what the one part, I didn't trim it right. I trimmed it okay, but I didn't trim it right. I didn't cut off the very skinny part of the flat, and so that got a little tougher than I wanted it to. Not bad. I ate it last night as like a sandwich, but other than that, it was glorious.
We'll do some in-depth Traeger talk later in the week.
In-depth Traeger talk later. Right now, we got to talk Bo Bassett. We got to talk Bo Bassett. The only reason we're really even doing a show today is, there wasn't a whole lot of wrestling news other than, my weekend for wrestling was spent following the results. I didn't watch a whole lot, but following the results of junior duels, which pretty much wraps a bow on the freestyle season for the high schoolers. You have Vegas, you have all the regionals, Central Regional, Northeast Regional, yada, yada, yada. And then you have cadet and junior duels. And then, boom, you're done for a month, 3 weeks, and then Fargo. So for me, it wraps up kind of a season almost until Fargo. But, so there wasn't a whole heck of a lot of nationally mainstream news to talk about. But then at the 11th hour, Bo Bassett decommits. And to me, usually I hear these things early. I did not hear these things. I didn't hear anything about this until I got a text, and then I sort of confirmed with Bill Bassett. But I thought it would take a couple days. Nope, boom. Bo puts out a statement, and that's a wrap. Bo Bassett, perhaps the biggest name, one of the biggest brands ever in high school wrestling, had a kind of lengthy, much followed recruiting race where he laid out his teams, dropped teams each week, and then ultimately decided on Iowa is no longer going to Iowa. And it's a big story, and everybody wants to know why and what went on and what happened, and of course the fallout. Where will he go? What did Iowa do wrong? What does it mean for Iowa? And what was your reaction to the news?
Well, from the moment I found out, which was pretty quick from finding out to him putting it out, and then more and more started coming out. But initially it's man, I did not anticipate Bo decommitting from Iowa. I did not anticipate that. I thought after his lengthy recruiting process that this was a done deal, and this wasn't going to be one of those cases where we see somebody flip. And right away, it's like, before I even started thinking of, okay, is it Penn State? Is it Oklahoma State? Is it Nebraska? Virginia Tech was up there. Like, before I even started thinking about where he's going, I started thinking of, man, these Iowa fans are not going to be happy. And everything kind of compounding over the last month, where it's like, it looks like they were starting to get some breaks, and then you lose the Rainey twins. Now you lose Bo. And then right after Bo puts out a post in a statement, then you have Melvin Miller come out and update his top school list, and there's no Iowa. Like, it all kind of happened very quick as far as like, wow, this is a lot of bad news quick for Iowa.
Yeah. That, to me, the Melvin thing, Melvin immediately putting out that he took Iowa off his list, that was sort of, to me, more damning than even Bo. When I say damning, I mean Melvin doing that immediately. Listen, kids are going to, till the end of time, commit and then decommit. You're going to have these things happen once in a while. A couple kids a year, right? And so I don't think that, other than Bo being who he is, it's not this unprecedented, out of the blue kind of thing. It was important in the national landscape because it's Bo Bassett. Is it important in the national landscape because it's Iowa? Yes and yes. But is it this like, oh, something bad must have happened? No, there's no reason to think that. But then Melvin coming out immediately with Iowa off the list, to me, it kind of was like, yeah, this is personal.
Yeah.
That's the way it came across to me.
Yeah, and I was texting with Bo this morning because I told him we're doing a live show and offered him, do you want to come on and talk a little bit about it? And I forgot he's heading to do a camp with Burroughs today. So he said he'll hop on later in the week. But he did say, by the way, too, that like the Iowa fans, a lot of them have reached out and, they understand his decision. And there's sometimes an echo chamber on Twitter. But he said a lot of people, and there was also Iowa wrestlers commenting and reaching out, like Gabe Arnold, Spencer Lee were commenting, and people were reaching out, like, best of luck. It didn't seem like there was a lot of bad blood, but there was a lot of speculation as to what happened. Like, something seemed to happen, but it doesn't seem like there's a lot of bad blood right now. So that's at least good. I know you said you kind of got to the bottom of what happened and how this went down, but I just thought I'd share what Bo was talking about this morning.
Yeah, so, I spoke with Bill Bassett, who shared a little bit. And frankly, I spoke with Bob Nichols, who shared a little bit. And somebody else who I will not say, who shared a little bit. But, so apparently, I don't know which I want to start with. I guess we'll just start with what they're saying. Apparently, Bo didn't feel exactly in tune with the coaches at the last couple tournaments they were at, and I don't know if they felt the cold shoulder or what the case may be. But then, the Bassets asked Tom if they could train there, and that Melvin wanted to come train there, RTC practices, this and this and that. And it ultimately led to a conversation where Tom kind of put his foot down and said, you're not going to tell me how to run my program. Point blank. He said these words to the Bassett family. And it stems from what the Iowa side is saying, is that the Bassets wanted this and they wanted that and they wanted flights and they wanted say and how things were going. And Tom said, you're not going to tell me how to run my program. And that was that. And they were offended by that. Now, the Bassets aren't saying, they don't say that part. They say they didn't feel as if they were on the same page.
Yeah.
And they weren't, feeling the love. Now, I'm just telling you the general things that both sides are saying. I'm not getting. There's probably a lot in the middle there too, right? I'm not pretending to be in the room with these guys or be on the phone calls when they're on their phone calls. I'm just telling you the general gist of what each side is saying. So, and remember, the backdrop to this, what makes me well, first, some of it is that Jax Forrest is flying to Okie State and training, and this guy's training here, and that guy's training here, and the Bassetts kind of want to do that too, but Tom's saying we can't do that via compliance. Like, we can't pay for flights and this, and maybe some other school can, but our compliance, they're like laughing, like, you can't do that. And I don't know, I know wrestling, but what it's very difficult is to know the compliance department at every school, to know the rules with everything, with NIL, with portal, with rev share. Listen, I'm frankly not an expert in any of it. And you have to remember the backdrop to all this. Is the revenue sharing and the NIL deals and the house settlement. Yesterday when Bo Bassett decommitted, because I was on record saying I didn't think Bo would go to Iowa. I wasn't shocked that he went to Iowa. I didn't think that Iowa was next topic for Bo. And when Bo chose Iowa, Flo kind of dunked on me for it, essentially saying, Willie was wrong, we were right. Okay. But part of that, remember that, so somebody brought that up on Twitter. Somebody brought up Flo made fun of Willie for getting Bassett to Iowa wrong. So they dropped a link of this show. And I went back and watched it, and I said on that show that it sort of seemed like all of a sudden they wanted to get this deal done, right? Yeah. Like Bo was taking his time, dropping schools, and all of a sudden, boom, Bo wanted to make an announcement. And I had talked to people at that time, and they said, well, you know why? You know why he wants to get that done? Is because they just had a deadline. If you sign this deal before, I think it was May 1st or something like that, if you sign, then your deal is grandfathered in. If you don't, if this contract isn't signed by then it is going to have to go the route that it is now and be subject to arbitration. Or the Deloitte will figure out what your monetary value is, right? So if you sign by then, you're getting your money. If you don't sign by then, it's up to Deloitte, the clearinghouse, to tell you what you're worth and to approve deals. Okay, so it makes sense. Bo wants to sign this deal, get his money, which is going to be more money than what Deloitte's going to say. Okay? Now, contingent upon that, if you did sign then, the whole balance of the deal has to be paid by June 30th, which is 1 week from today. The whole deal has to be paid. So, I don't want to throw out fake numbers, but let's just use a number, right? If I was said, Bo, we're going to pay you $10 for the next 5 years, that would have had to been paid by next week, which means they would have had to pay him all $50. All right? Now, I'm not saying this is what happened, but maybe Iowa didn't want to pay all $50. Maybe they went back to him and said, "We'll pay you $5. We'll pay you $10, but we'll pay you in 1 year deal increments." I'm not saying that happened. I have no indication that happened, but that's the backdrop to all this. Remember how it went? It went fire drill. Let's sign this. Let's get it signed right now because the new laws are coming into effect. And now we're 1 week away from that whole payment being due. So I'm just telling you that there's a backstory.
Yeah, no, for sure. And we're going to find out more and more. For what it's worth, Bo said this wasn't about money. This wasn't about NIL when I talked to him. So there's obviously a lot of stories out there. People are going to come up with what they want to come up with, and that's fine. You can only, he can refute anything or say anything, and people are going to, come up with their own tune. But, it does. There's two schools of thought here. One is the Iowa angle, and one is the who's going to get Bo. We did have a request on Twitter for a glass half full perspective from you for Iowa fans.
Yeah. I don't know. And Corby, I wasn't told that's what happened. I don't know that's what happened. I'm just saying that is the backdrop to all this. And the glass half full for Iowa, I don't know. Somebody requested the glass half full part for Iowa. I don't know what I don't know what good this can be. I'm certainly not saying that it's doom and gloom, but I don't know that not getting Bo and not getting Melvin certainly is. There's no good news in that.
I know it's one of those things where like Iowa fans, they didn't get the Rainey brothers, and that was disappointing. But you got Bo. You all but had Melvin Miller. Because in their whole recruiting process, it seemed like Keegan, Bo, and Melvin were all kind of a recruiting package deal, and you kind of, now you lose one and you instantly lose all three. So who knows what happens? Do you think there's obviously a lot of the talk is about brands. Do you think this is going to change anything as far as like, there's a lot of people as soon as something happens, it's like, well, brands this, brands that. Do you just think that's an immediate knee-jerk reaction, or
I think Tom Brands is? I think Tom Brands is the head coach of Iowa as long as he wants to be head coach. And anything else is just chirping, and I mean, people. Tom Brands and I would do a fantastic job. They do a fantastic job. People bitch about Mike Tomlin at the Steelers. Dude's been nothing but a model of consistency. Does he win every year? Does he win a Super Bowl every year? No. But, dude, he's locked in. He's locked in. And Tom Brands is locked in. And he's going to finish out his career there. So stop with the dumb shit about they need to replace Tom Brands because they lost a recruit. I mean, maybe. Listen, I'm saying maybe Tom is to blame. Maybe Tom lost his cool. I don't know. But I don't care what the case is. I don't care if he ran somebody off campus. It's not a fireable offense. Tom's fine.
Do you want to talk about what's next now? Because there's a lot of talk on Bo had a long recruiting process, and he committed decently early, but he started it early as well, and that had mixed reactions. There's a lot of he's just a kid, who cares, he's enjoying this process, and then you had the naysayers who were complaining that it was drawn out. And so now there's questions about what will this recruiting process look like from now to making a decision, and then, is it right back to those, what was the Final Four, like Penn State, Oklahoma State, Iowa, Virginia Tech? Like, is it right back to those? What do you make of that?
Yeah, I don't know. Piles had a monologue yesterday where he says Penn State, And I mean, obviously Penn State's one possible landing spot. I don't know. I think Ohio State could be in play. Although I also heard, I don't know if this is true, but I also heard that when Bo didn't pick Ohio State, things didn't go great there between Tom Ryan and Bo. But I mean, that could. I'm just sharing what I heard.
I honestly think it was like that at most schools. I think most schools there was a. Melvin doesn't have Virginia Tech in his top 8, interestingly. I feel like there wasn't too many clean departures of Bo not picking a school, but it doesn't sound like many schools are now out on him. It sounds like, Bo's interested. Let's pick this back up.
Yeah.
Especially all things considered. Again, it's almost like a 3-for-1. That it sounds like it's a package deal. And, it's funny because you do mention something like flights and wanting to train at the program. And, Jax is having success training in Stillwater and going back and forth. And, Penn State is only an hour and a half from Bishop McCourt. So things like that do, if that's a concern about getting in the room and training and wanting to be there, and you're worried about flights versus an hour drive, like I am curious at how those types of things factor into the decision now after he's kind of seen how it plays out, wanting to go somewhere a little farther away.
Yeah, I don't know. And they're a really tight-knit group, right? So I would imagine the closer the better. Now, that wasn't their decision the first time around. Their first time around was Pittsburgh, Johnstown to Iowa. But maybe this go around they go a little closer and Bill's within driving distance of the kids. I don't know. I don't know any more at this point about where Bo and Melvin will lean, other than the obvious, Penn State, Tech, Ohio State, Okie State,
Yeah, and Melvin, his list yesterday is Penn State, Oklahoma State, Arizona State, Pitt, Michigan, Nebraska, Missouri, NC State.
I hope they all go to Pitt.
I think it'd be cool. It'd be cool if they all spread out. Melvin goes to Pitt. Maybe Bo Bassett goes to Nebraska. It would be cool if they all spread out for the sake of the sport.
What do you mean for the sake of the sport? Bo Bassett and Melvin Miller going to the same school is not going to devastate the sport.
I didn't say devastate, but spread. If you spread the talent around, it'll make things more interesting. That's all I'm saying.
I think they should all go to Pittsburgh.
Of course you do. You said you talked to Bob Nichols. What was that conversation?
Just that the Bassets were asking for things that they couldn't provide or wouldn't provide.
Okay, so that's what. Yeah. Okay. It was crazy too. This is, I want to try to get Bashada on here in a minute. I think he's in the middle of the ocean, but he's got good take, I think, in perspective on some of the business side of these things. And it is crazy. Rudis right away put out Iowa gear for Bo, a whole collection, 4 or 5 different sweatshirts, nicely designed, nice stuff. Not a cheap, quick, one-off store, nice sweatshirts, nice shirts. They properly took their time and really rolled this out. And now it's going to be interesting because the collection's off the site, rightfully so. It's going to be interesting. Somebody was asking me, man, I'm surprised Rudis even did that. Well, that's part of the whole NIL process. And as we move towards that direction of figuring these things out, Rudis gambled. They took a shot. They had to know there's a shot that this could happen, but they gambled. They took a shot. He was going to end up at Iowa where he committed. And they rolled out apparel.
They ain't gonna lose money. They might have inventory of Iowa gear, Bo Iowa gear, but they probably also have sales on some of those, and they can give that stuff away and do Bo Nebraska gear when he comes to Nebraska, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
I am curious if they're going to have a
That is Bob Huey in the chat. Think about all the Iowa fans who spent money on Bassett merch. There's Iowa fans right now like, what the hell am I going to do with this T-shirt?
I know, and we see that in bigger sports, not typically like this, but like we see it in bigger sports where like somebody gets traded and somebody just bought jerseys and this and that. But I am curious if when Bo makes a commitment, which I don't think will take too long, but I am curious if they do it again or what happens this next time around.
Yeah. I would keep doing it. I'd keep rolling it out. Who cares? I mean, Kevin Durant just got traded. Oh, well, you have to buy a new jersey. A lot of people in the chat talking about need weights and Bo, and it is true. Like Okie State is really crowded, 41 to 57. I mean, really crowded. Iowa, not so much. Ohio State, when Bo would get there, not so much. Penn State's fine. I think Blaze will be eventually a 41, but they could use. I mean, Penn State. Who's Penn State's 49 of the future?
Penn State's 49 of the future.
They need one, right?
I'm trying to think of their recruiting class. Yeah, I mean, unless some of the smaller guys pop up, but I don't.
No, they need a 49. They need a 49. Tech, the kids apparently really like Tech. Now Melvin's not on. What was Rutgers on Melvin's?
No Rutgers, no Virginia Tech.
I mean, listen, Melvin would do wonders at Penn State. Penn State does wonders with Melvin's weight class, and Penn State really needs a 49 of some sort in the future. Now, all I'm saying is people in the chat are talking about need. Penn State has a need at 49.
What weight do you project Melvin by the time he gets to college?
I've always had him since he was in 8th grade. I was like, he's going to be a 74, 84, but he hasn't put on the size I thought he would. Now, maybe he still will. He still looks baby-faced to me. I think he'll be a 74. I used to think he'd be an 84. Now I'm like, 74 is probably safe, but hell, I don't know. Maybe even 65. We'll see.
Yeah. All right, let me go for going through the chat here. Nick Costco wants him at Rutgers selfishly for broadcasting purposes. Sam Herring, 49 probably.
Yeah. Yeah, Sam maybe 49. It's hard to gauge Sam's weight because I guess Sam would be a 49. And I think Sam's gonna be better than what people realize. But you get my point. There's no clear. It's more wide open at Penn State than it is at Okie State, right? I mean, they got more. Between 41 and 57, Okie State got more young bodies.
Yeah. No, they definitely do. I mean, you got what? You've got Sergio Vega, Casey Swiderski, Tegan Jameson. You got a lot of younger guys there.
Well, you got both Rainies.
The Rainies, yep.
Vega's not going to be 41. I mean, that's a minimum he'll be. He's going to end up being a 49, 57. But yeah, I mean, I don't have any answers on where Bo and Melvin are going to end up. Just the usual suspects at this time. I mean, hell, yesterday I thought he was going to Iowa. So I have no. And, you know, the reason I never thought it would be Iowa next topic, I just think I like the matchup. I like the matchup with a guy whose style. Bo is a machine, right? And Tom and Terry teach machines. Like they teach pace and physicality. But Bo already has that. If I was Bo, I'd go to a technique-ish school. I don't know.
Yeah. It'll be interesting this time around. You know, there were rumors of big NIL packages being offered, and I'm curious if that will wind down. You know, if you what we were talking about earlier, where it's like I think the date was June 6th. The deals had to be in on something like that. But if that's over now, so now Bo is subject to whatever the new rules are with. You know, there's no more getting the deal in before the deadline. Like now, whatever deal Bo gets, it's going to be through the new process.
Yeah. I mean, that's a very good point that took us way too long to get to. For people that say it's about the money for the Bassets, they just left money on the table with that other deal, or leaving that other deal.
Yeah.
Right, so
yeah, there were some comments of people saying like, how much did Oklahoma State or how much did Penn State pay to get him to decommit? Nothing. This was not a come here and we'll pay you more money decommit from Iowa play.
No, because now it has to go through the clearinghouse.
Correct. It was almost a guaranteed pay cut once he knew he was going to decommit. It was almost a guaranteed pay cut. Like you're not going to be able to get this much money somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, that's all I got. And you have to think, on the other hand, you have to think Iowa has to go hard at these 2027s now, because there is only one. There's only one top 50 in 2026 left. There's one top 50, and it's Cody Merrill at a weight that they don't need. Or I guess they could use him after Keeter, but it's not a pressing need. But 2027, I mean, they have to make hay here. And
it's also interesting. I'm
going to have all their school lists. I'm going to have all their school lists in an article this week.
One of the other interesting things here was, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't Bo commit back in like February, something like that? January, February. It was early, right? Early 2025. I thought no. Was it?
I thought it was like a scramble to get it in before this new deal thing. Maybe I'm wrong.
I'm drawing a complete blank. Let me look.
Well, let's go over.
Well, my point being, well, go ahead. You can go that direction. I'll look this up.
Yeah, let's go over, like, say, the top 10-ish guys in 2027, because I was gonna need a bunch of them. Oh, we even go like beyond that. Melvin, he just removed it from this list. Bachman, I'm not sure he has Iowa on his list. Amato does have Iowa. Seiden does have Iowa. Borg does have Iowa. Burnett told me he wants to wait a little bit. Carini, I don't think has Iowa. Sarney, I think, does have Iowa. Bo definitely does have Iowa. Anderson, I forget. Clinton Shepard, He told me I didn't get his yet. Kenny Mangano. I don't believe I was on Mangano's, but you see what I'm getting at. They need to hit a home run in this class.
It was February 4th when he committed.
Why is it that early?
Yeah, and so here's where I was going with that is when Bo committed, and the word was it was a package deal. Him, Melvin, Keegan, the whole family.
Yeah,
that in my mind factors in, even though they're young, they're a bit away. That was prior to the transfer portal season. So going into the transfer portal season, you knew you had Bo Bassett, likely Melvin Miller. You knew you had these guys in the pipeline. So it's like, I wonder how the transfer portal, if it would have looked different had they not gotten Bo, and now the transfer portal window's closed. So you can get what?
I don't know. I mean, Melvin's so far out.
I know they're far away, but whether you can get a good freshman or something, like it definitely has to change your perspective to some degree. You know, it's not really going to impact a grad transfer or a fifth-year senior, fourth-year senior, whatever, but
yeah.
People want our predictions. Bronzy Jenkins, where does he go? What are the Basch The Brain's predictions? I think Penn State. I think he'll stay in the Northeast. I think if traveling is a concern, if wanting to train in the room and be close, and if that's a priority, and I think before this, like Penn State was a huge desire for him to go there. And listen, Kozak can make another video if I say Penn State and it's not Penn State, but listen, you got to make a video if I'm right. If I'm right, I got dunked on last time because we said no Iowa, but if I had to guess, I'm not saying he's going to Penn State. I'm just saying if I had to guess, that's what my gut feeling is. What about you?
I mean, I'm being told the word on the street is that Johnstown's giving him the key to the city, UPJ, and he's going D2.
All right, so where do you really think he's going?
Yeah, I don't know. Penn State. I think he's going to Penn State. I mean, I don't think. I have no idea.
It's just a prediction.
At this time, I know, but people hang on. When I said he wasn't going to Iowa, when I said
pure cinema.
I said that I didn't think it was a foregone conclusion that he would go to Iowa, and then he committed to Iowa, everybody hung on that like it was gospel. All right, so if I say right now that the signs point he's going to Penn State, guys. The signs point. Now, if he doesn't go to Penn State, don't come back and say, well, Willie said he was wrong again. Listen.
No, come back and say it. Bring the heat. Since when do you back away from the heat? You cook one brisket on a Traeger and you don't want the smoke?
Corby's saying I tried to get Bo to Nebraska.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, listen, everybody go to Nebraska. Go Husker.
Where's your straw hat?
Like I said, I wish they all went to Pitt. Go to Pitt. Imagine Melvin with Keith Gavin. I like that.
All right, looking through our notes. I'm trying to see if we hit most of our notes. That one. What?
Corby.
All right, Willie, what else you got? Stop reading the chat.
Well, I love the chat. I ain't got nothing. I got two things on my plate this week. You know, I got all the big boards done. It took months. Every big board is up. 26 through 26, 27, 28, 29. The best top incoming freshmen are done, which is kind of also doubles as who, you know, to watch in Fargo. Like new faces, new stars, new potential, great recruits. So they're done. Now, with junior duels over, there's going to be a fresh update for the regular rankings, and I'm working on the top 15 or so school lists. Trying to get them out. So that's what I got going on this week.
Yeah, and by the way, if you guys do want to come back and dunk on us, make sure you're subscribed at least. Subscribe, come back, dunk on us. Yeah, Willie's got a lot in the hopper that he needs some help with when it comes to top schools, and there's a lot pending. A lot of exciting stuff this time of year, even though there's not a lot of actual
for some reason, every year, I mean, I kind of like understand why now, but for some reason, every year, the class that's most exciting to me is the freshmen going to be sophomore, or the sophomores going to be juniors. This 2027 class, to me, that they're always. I always think they're better than classes around them, and I think it's because they're right in the sweet spot where they've been really good, and you're like, wow, they still got 2 more years of high school. Imagine how good they're going to be when by the time they graduate. But inevitably, some of those guys level off. Some of those guys plateau or regress, or I shouldn't say regress. Some of those guys do not hit the expectations that
they don't pan out. Yeah.
So, but it's really interesting because every year my favorite class is the rising sophomores, and the group that I feel most interested in, like the guys that are the juniors that are going to be seniors. I know what they are. I already know what they are. 99% of them.
Yeah.
The sophomores going to be juniors, I'm like, they have been great, and by the time they graduate, man, they could be really good. The younger guys, I'm like, we got time to figure this out. So,
yeah, that's kind of your holy grail there.
Coleman Hammond, I love you, buddy. Tell Dad hello.
What do you say? CSU's Bakersfield. We'd love to get another great outcast from a big program.
Want to do some bad? Want to do some bad shows? Well, hold on.
I can only imagine what this is. Is he turning the Traeger on?
No.
That's pretty cool. Is that a Rotundo photo?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. All right, Willie.
All right.
Are you putting anything on the Traeger today?
Can we get? Let me see. How about this? I don't know. Can you see this? Can you see this?
Vaguely, it's blurry. What's it say?
Rhodey is delivering your order from Wild Fork.
Another one? Is that? I thought you just did a freezer examination and it was filled to the brim.
It's pretty full. However, I had a couple Bud Heavies the other night. I wanted to order some meat. I'm like, I probably shouldn't order anything. Let me go see what's in the freezer. There's a bunch of stuff in the freezer. I don't even know why I bought. But I did make a little room, and I ordered a whole suckling pig.
That's right. I thought you already had that. That's what's coming.
It's a pig. It's a full pig. I mean, it's heads on it, and its feet and such, and its ears.
My neighbor has a farm, and he's got some really nice ones. And he's like, "Have you ever smoked a whole suckling pig?" And I said, "No." He said, "I got some for you." And they're like, whatever that next, like that higher tier of pork is, whatever that is. Not
Berkshire?
Curaboda, but maybe Berkshire. Yeah. So I'm going simple. It's 100 degrees here, so we're probably gonna have people stopping by, jumping in the pool. So I'm gonna do a pork shoulder and get 10, 20 pounds of pulled pork going. Whoever wants to stop by, and there'll be enough for them.
I'll be up. Go Bills.
All right, go Bills. That's a show. Subscribe, like the stream. See you guys.